Let's go home.
Grey's Anatomy's Jason George teases fans shouldn't relax yet after fall finale showed Joe's life in danger. Grey's Anatomy fans are worried about some of their favorite characters after the season 22 fall finale, and they should continue to be concerned when the hit ABC series returns. During an exclusive interview with Us Weekly, Jason George teased what is to come after the first half of the season ended with Ben helping Joe amid her premature emergency C-section. Ben and Joe have a special relationship. Ben is definitely worried, and that's where we leave off. I got a lot of calls from my friends who are Joe fans, and I have had some conversations, he said about concerns about Ludington's character. I wouldn't say relax, as far as that's concerned. Despite the deadly premiere, George says the hit medical drama will balance life and death situations with more lighthearted stories. What has the Grey's Anatomy cast said about who is definitely dying in season 22 after that explosion? The rest of the season, it's fun. The writers did a brilliant job with bringing in the new interns and integrating them in the story. You've got people who've been around for a minute and people who are learning, he noted. There are people who found their spot in the world who are growing in their life. The interns are growing and learning how to be doctors. Ben is doing both at any given moment in time. George enjoyed getting to see how Ben will evolve, adding, "It's going to be interesting when you see Ben's ability to adapt and overcome that firefighter mentality. It's going to come into play in the way he grows. It'll be fun for anybody who is a fan of Ben. By the end of the season, it'll be a thumbs-up season." The actor originated the role of Ben when he joined Grey's Anatomy in 2010. His fan-favorite character later moved on to Station 19 before returning as a main cast member in 2024. Biggest of Grey's Anatomy returns over the years. I was a fan of the show before I was ever on the show. That's a rare opportunity for an actor, he shared. I'm looking forward to seeing what it's going to be. I definitely would not put it past the writers to throw us another shocking finale this season. Every time you try and game the system, they get you. They're like, we'll keep knocking you down every time. And you come back for more. After season 22 premiered in September, George was thrilled that his character wasn't a victim of the deadly explosion. He didn't have too much time to enjoy Ben's safety, though, before being concerned about the next possible cliffhanger. It is a blessing and a curse that characters die on this show. The curse is the fact that as actors, when you find a great job like this, where you really love everything about it, you just want to stick around for as long as you can. But the other side is when there are real stakes, when people actually can die, then the story gets better, he noted. Anything is on the table with the show, and it's one of the things that makes it so good. Grey's Anatomy, a season 22 premiere, kills off major character after hospital explosion cliffhanger. The doctors on Grey's Anatomy are mourning one of their own yet again, after the hospital explosion at the end of last season resulted in the death of a major character. Dr. Monica Beltran, played by Natalie Morales, died from her injuries. At the start of the season 22 premiere on Thursday, though, Beltran was hanging on, and then some. Not only does she dismiss the painful injuries she had sustained, but she directs surgical intern Dr. Jules Millen, Adelaide Kane, on how to treat an injured young patient herself while they were trapped by the blast. During the emergency surgery, Beltran explains to Millen how her first solo surgery, on a 4-year-old boy who loved Spider-Man, had gone. "I was so terrified, I almost passed out," Beltran says. "But then I got to tell his parents he was okay. There is nothing better than the hug you get from a grateful mom. I mean, that makes you feel like a superhero." The injured doctor was giving instructions up until the moment she stopped speaking, saying, "Wait for them to get us the hell out of here, and we hope everybody else is okay." When Millen calls out to Beltran a few minutes later, Beltran doesn't respond. Millen rushes over and presses on the wounded physician's chest, but there was no reviving her. When the emergency workers bust in the door, Millen tells them flatly, "You're too late." She's gone afterward. Millen gets that hug from the patient's parents. She also breaks down in uncontrollable tears. Morales, who's also appeared on The Grinder, Girls, and Parks and Recreation, joined the long-running medical drama in 2024. In an interview with Deadline published Thursday, Morales said she found out Beltran was being killed off when showrunner Meg Marinis called her about returning for season 22. I got the phone call to come back, and I said, oh, I thought maybe she would have died. And then Meg was like, well, I have something to tell you, Morales said. The actress felt a mix of things after getting the news. I've been so lucky to be a part of this show, and I feel very grateful to have been a part of it. I think the fandom of this show has been so kind to me and so welcoming, and I think those people that have been welcoming to me are going to be pissed. I'm sorry about that, she said. But I also think that Meg is an incredibly talented writer and showrunner, and I will say one of the best people I've ever worked with, truly. She was so kind and so on top of it all the time that when she told me the plan, I was like, oh, that feels right. I get why you're doing that, and it makes sense to me. Although I'm sad about it, it really works for the story. Chris Carmack, who's played Dr. Atticus Lincoln on The Shonda Rhimes Show since 2018, told TV Line in a story published Thursday that he loved working with Morales. She's such a light, funny, wonderful, kind, great actress. Link and Beltran don't have an extensive history together on screen, but Natalie made a huge impression in the time that she was working on the show, so it definitely hurt to see that Beltran didn't make it. Grey's Anatomy star James Pickens Jr. reveals prostate cancer diagnosis and how it's affected his family. It's not the kind of news anyone wants to hear, Pickens said. James Pickens Jr. has played one of the most beloved doctors on TV since 2005, but after Grey's Anatomy made a shocking mid-season revelation, Pickens is making one of his own. The 71-year-old actor revealed he was diagnosed with prostate cancer, a battle his family knows all too well. It's not the kind of news anyone wants to hear, but to be honest, prostate cancer has run through my family, Pickens told Black Health Matters. My father had it. He had a lot of brothers, several of them had it. I would have been surprised if I hadn't gotten it. According to the Prostate Cancer Foundation, 1 in 6 Black men develops prostate cancer and is more than twice as likely to die from the disease. Prostate cancer is highly heritable, and those factors cause up to 60% of prostate cancer risk. Despite that history, he remains optimistic about the development, citing other family members who've continued to thrive despite the diagnosis. I've got a 90-year-old first cousin, who's still alive. Actually, he had it, he continued. His son has it. A couple of his brothers had it. No one, as far as I know, has succumbed to it. Pickens' character, Dr. Richard Weber, made a revelation of his own during the November 13th episode of the long-running ABC medical drama, telling Dr. Miranda Bailey, Chundra Wilson, that he had been diagnosed with cancer. Still, Pickens is thankful for receiving the diagnosis early and that doctors caught the tumor before it spread anywhere else. I started getting my annual physical 34 years ago, he told the outlet. My urologist said, because you were so diligent in that piece of your health, it was to your advantage. We were able to catch it so early because you were being tested. Instead of radiology, Pickens opted for a radical prostatectomy, a surgery to take out part or all of the prostate gland. We caught it really early, and so they thought that would be the best route to take. I do have a rare variant that you don't see very often. They wanted to on the side of caution and keep an eye on it, he said. It was rare enough that they wanted to make sure that they were crossing all the T's and dotting all their I's. But they hadn't seen one that was detected as early as mine. Grey's Anatomy icon is returning to the show for season 22, but there's a catch. Grey Sloan Memorial will be bringing back a familiar face for season 22 of Grey's Anatomy. A new report has confirmed that Kate Walsh, best known for her iconic performance as Dr. Addison Montgomery, will return for the upcoming 22nd season of ABC's long-running medical procedural. This will mark Walsh's latest resurgence on the show after she returned in a recurring capacity for seasons 18 and 19 from 2021 to 2023. While it's wonderful to hear that Kate Walsh back at one of the most famous hospitals in television history, fans of the series who are hoping for her to stick around for an extended period of time shouldn't get too excited yet, as there is a slight catch. As of now, Walsh's appearance in season 22 is being billed as a guest appearance. Not only that, but she's currently only slated to appear in one episode, that being the episode titled Strip That Down, which will air on January 29th. Kate Walsh and Dr. Montgomery have been a part of the Grey's Anatomy universe almost since the very beginning, with both first making their debut in one episode of season 1 with episode 9. Dr. Montgomery's no-nonsense approach to medicine clearly made an impression on the growing fanbase, as Walsh was then promoted to a series regular for Season 2 and Season 3. Afterwards, Walsh still made guest appearances in Seasons 4 to 8 and later with Seasons 18 and 19. Compared to others, there are definitely many other characters and actors who have served longer on the show, but Walsh's Dr. Montgomery has made a clear impact as a bona fide favorite, with her romance with Dr. Jake Riley, Benjamin Bratt, being just one of many highlights. Many huge stars have come and gone in Grey's Anatomy's 20-year history. This article covers a developing story. Continue to check back with us as we will be adding more information as it becomes available. Grey Sloan Memorial will be bringing back a familiar face for Season 22 of Grey's Anatomy. A new report has confirmed that Kate Walsh, best known for her iconic performance as Dr. Addison Montgomery, will return for the upcoming 22nd season of ABC's long-running medical procedural. This will mark Walsh's latest resurgence on the show after she returned in a recurring capacity for Seasons 18 and 19 from 2021 to 2023. While it's wonderful to hear that Kate Walsh back at one of the most famous hospitals in television history, fans of the series who are hoping for her to stick around for an extended period of time shouldn't get too excited yet, as there is a slight catch. As of now, Walsh's appearance in Season 22 is being billed as a guest appearance. Not only that, but she's currently only slated to appear in one episode, that being the episode titled Strip That Down, which will air on January 29th. Kate Walsh and Dr. Montgomery have been a part of the Grey's Anatomy universe almost since the very beginning, with both first making their debut in one episode of Season 1 with Episode 9. Dr. Montgomery's no-nonsense approach to medicine clearly made an impression on the growing fanbase, as Walsh was then promoted to a series regular for Season 2 and Season 3. Afterwards, Walsh still made guest appearances in Seasons 4 to 8 and later with Seasons 18 and 19. Compared to others, there are definitely many other characters and actors who have served longer on the show, but Walsh's Dr. Montgomery has made a clear impact as a bona fide favorite, with her romance with Dr. Jake Riley, Benjamin Bratt, being just one of many highlights. Many huge stars have come and gone in Grey's Anatomy's 20-year history. Derek Patrick Dempsey, Addison, Kate Walsh, and Meredith Ellen Pompeo, standing awkwardly in an elevator in Grey's Anatomy. Kate Walsh, Chandra Wilson, Camila Luddington, and Stefania Spampinato as Addison, Bailey, Joe, and Karina in Grey's Anatomy. Kate Walsh Grey's Anatomy Social featured Sandra Oh as Dr. Christina Yang in A Grey's Anatomy. 2025 marks the 20th anniversary of Shonda Rhimes' beloved series, and since then, many big stars like Kate Walsh have come and gone over the years. Among the most well-known are Killing Eve and Invincible star Sandra Oh as Dr. Christina Yang, who was the practical face of the series for the first 10 seasons, and the Emmy-winning fan favorite has yet to make another appearance on the show. Similarly, Dexter, original Sin star Patrick Dempsey also served a lengthy tenure on the show as Dr. Derek Shepherd until Season 11, though he returned for a recurring role in Season 17. Only a handful of stars have been with the show since the very beginning and have stayed on board since, with those including Ellen Pompeo as Dr. Meredith Grey, Chandra Wilson as Dr. Miranda Bailey, and James Pickens Jr. as Dr. Richard Webber. Grey's Anatomy fans pitch ideal ending, and some of these are too good we don't know if, let alone when, Grey's Anatomy will come to an end, but some fans are already imagining their ideal closing moments for the long-lived medical drama amid the Season 22 mid-season hiatus. And some of the pitches are pretty darn good, too. On the show's Reddit page, several fans started sharing their ideas for the eventual series closer for Grey's, and we have to imagine the writers of the series will be jotting a few of these down. For instance, one writer on the thread came up with a closing shot that would make fans of Richard Webber, James Pickens Jr., beam with pride. Richard's retirement party brings every living student of his back, they wrote. In response, though, another fan came up with a grimmer variation on that concept that might even be better, darker alternative, but Richard's passing away brings every living student of his back, followed by a crossing over/afterlife sequence with all of his passed away students and peers, a la Season 17. The most common prediction about how the series will conclude is the same one that fans have been talking about for some time now. Meredith Grey, Ellen Pompeo, will develop symptoms of Alzheimer's disease like her mother, Ellis, Kate Burton, had at the start of the series. Even so, the fans' new iterations of that ending are pretty creative in this thread. For instance, one fan predicted, Meredith dies in her 80s from natural causes, and we find out the entire show has been Zola, and maybe the other kids, reading her old journals. Another imagined, I think the finale we should see Meredith with Alzheimer's and old, and with the Alzheimer's she has flashbacks to everyone she has lost over the years, and in the final few moments a doctor gives her medicine. Turns out they finally found a cure, and the doctor who found it was none other than Zola Grey Shepherd. Other fans look to another Grey Shepherd child as the heir apparent of their parents' surgical skills, Ellis. Assuming they go the route of it being one of the kids starting the residency, I've always wanted it to be Ellis who chose being a doctor to feel close to the dad that she never got to meet, one fan wrote. Another suggested a full-circle moment involving the same character, writing, last scene, Ellis is an intern, and gives this monologue, the game. They say either a person has what it takes to play, or they don't. My mother was one of the greats. Me, on the other hand, I'm kinda screwed. Yet another concept turned the spotlight to a character who's been there since the very beginning and has said only a handful of words, Baki, Kathy C. N. A shot of Baki cleaning up an oar, she shuts off the lights on the way out, the fan wrote. We'll have to wait and see whether any of these ideas come to be in the grand finale for TV's longest-running primetime drama series, but for now, weigh in with your thoughts on how the show's final moments should go in the comments below. Kate Walsh sets a Grey's Anatomy return in Season 22. Grey's Anatomy fan favorite Kate Walsh will return to Grey Sloan Memorial in Season 22. The actress, who plays Dr. Addison Montgomery, is set to reprise the role in Episode 10, titled Strip That Down, which is scheduled to air January 29, The Wrap has learned. This marks the latest appearance from Walsh on the long-running medical drama, who last appeared in a multi-episode arc starting in Season 18, with appearances from 2021 to 2023. Addison was instrumental in the early years of A Grey's, before her character moved from Seattle to Los Angeles to headline the spin-off series, Private Practice, for 6 seasons. The reasons for Addison's visit were not immediately revealed, though her last visit established the neonatal surgeon as a doctor on the front lines helping women get access to reproductive care on the heels of growing abortion restrictions in the U.S. Outside of A Grey's Anatomy, Walsh is set to star in the upcoming feature comedy, What the F***CK is My Password, from filmmaker Steve Pink. The film also stars Alexander Ludwig, Stephen Dorff, Kal Penn, Adam Pally and others. Production kicked off in summer 2025 in New Jersey. She is also known for roles on Emily in Paris, The Umbrella Academy, and 13 Reasons Why. While Addison's return should please fans, they'll first have to get through a high-stakes winter premiere episode set for release on January 8. Last month's fall finale left things on a life-threatening cliffhanger after Dr. Jo Wilson, Camilla Luddington, suffered heart complications related to her high-risk pregnancy with twins. The episode ended with heart surgeon Dr. Winston Dugu, Anthony Hill, having to perform Jo's C-section himself, despite not having done the procedure since he was in med school. This is a situation where everything hangs in the balance and survival is not guaranteed for a lot of us involved. The cost of a mistake could be everything, she added. Emotionally prepare, because the next episode, it's worse, to be honest. The Grey's Anatomy Essential Watch Guide, Holiday Edition. The holidays on Grey's Anatomy are a mixed bag. Sure, there are lots of reasons to celebrate, but Christmas season, the New Year, and even Valentine's Day mostly leave the hospital brimming with stressed-out patients and doctors overwhelmed by both work and whatever emotional turmoil they happen to be experiencing during the winter months. While most of the Grey's Anatomy holiday episodes aren't exactly cheery, they do make for great television. Below, we revisit 7 standout, and on-theme, episodes you can add to your viewing queue this holiday season. Grandma Got Run Over by a Reindeer, Season 2, Episode 12. It's the first big holiday season for the original interns at Meredith's house, and you know Izzy is going all out with decorations. It looks like Santa threw up in here, George laments to Meredith. Despite Izzy attempting to push holiday cheer on everyone, including herself, internally, she is raging at Alex. Most of our doctors are in a real mood. Derek's brooding because he loves Meredith but is still attempting to make his marriage with Addison work. Christina and Burke are fighting because of a young patient who refuses to take a heart transplant, but that fight is really one about faith versus science. Don't worry, they end up snuggled in bed together, with Burke adding a menorah to his Christmas decor in honor of Christina's Jewish heritage. All the interns are feeling the holiday stress, but but they do band together to help Alex study for his intern boards. And in true Grey's Anatomy bittersweet fashion, the episode ends with Izzy, Meredith, and George lying on the floor under the tree, depressed about the holidays but reminded of how nice it is that they've finally found their tribe. Holidays, Season 6, Episode 10. As the title implies, this Season 6 episode follows our doctors through several holidays, Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's, as they all deal with various dramas, as is tradition. Holidays might perhaps be best remembered for the entrance of Mark's daughter Sloane, her pregnancy, and the beginning of the end, or one of the ends, for Mark and Lexi, or perhaps for that devastating final scene when Meredith finds Richard drunk at Joe's bar. Though I'd argue that the standout moment in Holidays is actually Christmas dinner at Meredith's house when Bailey stands up for herself in front of her disapproving father, who's having a difficult time accepting his daughter's divorce. There's nothing like a Bailey speech, and this one, about the importance of her work and the pride she takes in it, is one of the best. Consider it our little Christmas gift. Valentine's Day Massacre, Season 6, Episode 14. Sure, this episode is full of a lot of Valentine's Day developments for our docs. Meredith and Derek are navigating their marriage following his promotion to chief of surgery, and Alex and Lexi start hooking up. But the most romantic storyline in this one, as tragic as it may be, belongs to the patients. When the ceiling of a popular restaurant caves in during a Valentine's Day dinner, the is flooded with patients, including head waiter Emil, who has been pining away for customer Mrs. Banks for 15 years. She overhears him tell Meredith and Alex about his love for her, but she can't believe he never told her and that he never made a move. Mrs. Banks is married, she chose her husband, and yet still, like the doctors involved in their cases, we're all hoping for a Valentine's Day miracle in which Mrs. Banks declares her love too. But Emil dies during surgery, leaving Mrs. Banks quietly sobbing to herself over the loss. Valentine's Day remains a tough holiday to get behind. Adrift and at Peace, Season 7, Episode 10. Christmas is mostly background noise in this episode, both in the decor and music. But also, how fitting is it to have Christina's big healing moment, while fishing with Derek following the Season 6 shooting, happen during a holiday that is all about bringing peace and joy to others? One other way this episode spreads peace and joy? It ends with Lexi and Mark making up and making out in Joe's bar. Joy to the world indeed. All You Need Is Love, Season 8, Episode 14. Okay, does one patient couple have the worst Valentine's Day of all time when the guy dies on the same day he's about to propose to his girlfriend, who has been waiting 8 years for him to pop the question? Yes. Admittedly, that's not great. But elsewhere, our doctors are having a pretty great day. Meredith and Derek can't stop having sex all over the place. Callie takes Arizona into the woods for some sexy glamping. And the swoon award of the episode goes to Ben, who plans a fancy late-night dinner in the cafeteria for Bailey, knowing that she would be tied up in surgery all day. He knows her. Best cafeteria meal ever. She's Leaving Home, Season 11, Episode 22. How do you follow up the emotional, game-changing episode in which Derek Shepherd meets his demise? With a stunner of an episode that functions as a way to explore Meredith's deep grief without allowing the series as a whole to become mired in that heaviness for too long. She's Leaving Home takes us through the entire year following Derek's death, from the moment Meredith has him taken off life support until she is finally ready to step back into the oar, complete with a ferryboat scrub cap. The holidays here sit in the background and act as anchors as the episode fast-forwards through the calendar, an efficient and effective way to show us exactly how Meredith and Grey's Anatomy can move on after Derek. It Came Upon a Midnight Clear, Season 18, Episode 8. Wow, someone in the Grey's Anatomy writers' room really hates the holidays. In this episode, set at Christmas time, everyone is taking LS. Link wants to make a grand gesture and tell Amelia that he loves her, only to find her kissing Kai. A newly confident Schmidt goes rogue thanks to the Weber method and winds up killing a very nice podcaster on the Or table. And yes, it's great that they find a donor heart for Megan Hunt's son Farouk, but transporting that donor heart leads to a van crash that sends Owen, Teddy, and Cormac over the side of a cliff. The episode ends with Owen's life literally hanging in the balance. Look at Grey's Anatomy being a real Grinch over here. When does Grey's Anatomy return for the rest of Season 22? Yes, things look bleak for the surgeon-turned-obstetrics resident, who's already endured nearly losing her new husband, Link, Chris Carmack, in the deadly explosion that closed out last season. Fans will have to wait and see whether Joe's story will be one of survival or tragedy when the show returns from its winter hiatus, so when will that be? Here's a look at all of the details we know so far about Grey's Anatomy Season 22's mid-season premiere. When does Grey's Anatomy return with new episodes? The season will resume on Thursday, January 8, 2026, at October 9, see on ABC. What will happen when Grey's Anatomy returns? The teaser, embedded above, for Grey's Anatomy Season 22 Episode 7, which is titled Skyfall, shows that the episode will pick up where the mid-season finale left off, with Joe on the operating table as Winston Dugu. Anthony Hill worked to save her from a dangerous heart condition and was forced to begin a C-section to retrieve her twin babies. The teaser shows Ndugu performing CPR on Joe's lifeless body, and we hear the cry of at least one baby in the background. The video also shows Link looking devastated in the hospital chapel and Miranda Bailey, Chandra Wilson, also looking rather despondent. We don't know for sure what that will mean because sometimes these previews can be purposefully misleading, but for now, the future looks grim. It doesn't help matters either that all we know about Episode 8, which airs on January 15th, is the title, Heavy on Me. That episode will feature The Sopranos' alum Jamie Lynn Sigler in a role designed for her, as a doctor with multiple sclerosis, a condition she's been living with for years. Kate Walsh returning to A Grey's Anatomy, as Season 22, guest star Drive Addison Montgomery is scrubbing back in on Grey's Anatomy. Variety has learned exclusively that Kate Walsh is set to reprise her role as the fan-favorite character in an upcoming episode of the ABC medical drama's ongoing 22nd season. Walsh will appear in the A Grey's Anatomy episode airing on January 29, titled Strip That Down. Exact plot details are currently being kept under wraps. This will mark Walsh's first appearance on A Grey's Anatomy, since she returned in a recurring role in seasons 18 and 19, with her most recent appearance coming in the season 19 episode Gunpowder and Lead. She originally joined the show in its first season and was a main cast member through season 3. She then made multiple guest appearances through season 8, while she also led the spin-off series, Private Practice, for ABC for 6 seasons from 2007 to 2013. Since her time on A Grey's, Walsh has starred in shows like 13 Reasons Why, Emily in Paris, and The Umbrella Academy for Netflix. She will next be seen in the upcoming comedy feature What the F***CK Is My Password, from director Steven Pink, appearing alongside cast members including Alexander Ludwig, Stephen Dorff, Kal Penn, and Adam Pally. In 2024, she starred in the Public Theater's world premiere of A Jordans. She is repped by Gersh, Untitled, and Jorn Levine Barnes. Grey's Anatomy, Season 22 kicked off on October 9th. The show remains a cornerstone of the ABC programming lineup, which also includes dramas like High Potential, 911, and 911, Nashville, as well as comedies like Abbott Elementary and Shifting Gears. Is Grey's Anatomy on tonight? Here's when new Season 22 episodes will return to TV. Your next appointment at Grey Sloan Memorial Hospital is just weeks away. Season 22 of Grey's Anatomy kicked off on October 9th, airing on Thursday nights. However, the ABC staple is now on its mid-season break, so don't scrub in just yet. There's no new episode tonight, November 20th. The latest installment of Grey's Anatomy opened with Grey Sloan Memorial reeling from a devastating hospital explosion that left the staff racing to save lives under impossible conditions. By episode 6, the tension escalated as Dr. Joe Wilson, Camilla Luddington, faced life-threatening complications with her pregnancy, and a massive bus crash flooded the putting everyone on high alert. Already this season, the long-running medical drama reached a major milestone. Season 22, Episode 2, which aired on October 16th, marked Grey's Anatomy's 450th episode. The segment was directed by Kevin McKidd, who also stars as Dr. Owen Hunt. We're all so grateful and so thankful to you, the fans, for loving the show this long. We pinch ourselves every single day that we get to do this job. Happy 450th, McKidd said on Instagram. Here's everything to know about when to watch new episodes of Grey's Anatomy Season 22. Is Grey's Anatomy on tonight? Kate Walsh returns as Addison Montgomery in Grey's Anatomy Season 22. Grey's Anatomy is bringing back a long-running cast member 3 years after her most recent appearance. The long-running medical drama has a huge ensemble cast, with several stars leaving Grey's Anatomy over the years. The actors include Sandra Oh, Justine Chambers, T.R. Knight, Patrick Dempsey, Sarah Ramirez, Eric Dane, Kyler Lee and Jessica Capshaw. Chandra Wilson and James Pickens Jr. are the only 2 original Grey's Anatomy cast members still in a full-time capacity, with Ellen Pompeo making appearances every so often and continuing to provide the narrative voiceovers. According to Variety, Kate Walsh will once again play OB/GYN and neonatal surgeon Addison Montgomery on Grey's Anatomy, this time as a guest star in the January 29, 2026 episode, Strip That Down. Unfortunately, specifics about her upcoming storyline are unknown at this time. Walsh started on Grey's Anatomy as a guest star before being promoted to a series regular. Addison made a splash right from the beginning as Derek's estranged wife, who cheated on him with Mark Sloan. Derek McDreamy eventually left Addison for good and pursued a relationship with Meredith Grey. ABC used Walsh's character to launch a Grey's Anatomy spin-off called Private Practice, which centered on Addison moving to California to work at Oceanside Wellness Group. Her co-stars included Tim Daly, Audra McDonald and Paul Adelstein. Katerina Scorsone joined the spin-off halfway through its 6th-season run as Derek's sister Amelia Shepard before transitioning to Grey's Anatomy after Private Practice ended. 8 years later, Walsh returned for Grey's Anatomy Seasons 18 and 19 in a recurring capacity for several episodes. After Private Practice was cancelled in 2013, Walsh went on to appear in several movies and shows, including Girls Trip, Fargo, Bad Judge, 13 Reasons Why, The Umbrella Academy and Emily in Paris. Her personal life has had some exciting developments in recent years as well, as she got engaged in 2022. When she was a part of the cast of Grey's Anatomy, she and her co-stars won a Screen Actors Guild (SAG) Award for Outstanding Performance by an Ensemble in a Drama Series. Now the actress is returning to the show that gave her a breakout role on TV. For now, Walsh will only be reprising the character of Addison for 1 episode. Considering she had a recurring role in multiple episodes just a few years ago, it's possible this guest spot could turn into even more appearances in the future. After all, despite many cast member departures over the years, no one ever truly leaves Grey's Anatomy for good. Even dead characters, like Derek, have been known to show back up years later. Kate Walsh scrubbing back in as Addison Montgomery for Grey's Anatomy Season 22, Paging Drive Addison Montgomery. Kate Walsh's iconic and renowned neonatal surgeon is making her return to Grey's Anatomy for a special guest appearance on an upcoming episode of the show's current 22nd season, Entertainment Weekly can confirm. Walsh will reprise her role as the fan-favorite surgeon in the Grey's episode titled Strip That Down, airing on January 29, 2026. The exact circumstances surrounding her presence and the episode's plot are currently being kept under wraps, but considering how it's never a calm visit when Addison comes to town, it's safe to say fans should gird their loins. The character made her debut in Season 1 before joining the main cast for Seasons 2 and 3. Walsh went on to play Addison on the beloved Grey's spin-off Private Practice, 2006 to 2013, and routinely reprised the character on multiple seasons of The Mothership. Season 22's episode will mark the actress' first appearance since her multi-episode arc in Seasons 18 and 19. Regular watchers will recall that stress-filled saga that involved Addison and Tia, the pregnant clinical resident, getting hit by a car and ended with an absurdly complicated C-section to save the life of Tia's newborn. At one point, Addison even resorted to using a penlight to assess the baby's breathing. Thankfully, Addison, Tia, and Tia's tiny baby, later named Connor, all came out on the other side of that harrowing journey. And fans will get to see what Addison has been up to since she departed Season 19. The character made her debut in Season 1 before joining the main cast for Seasons 2 and 3. Walsh went on to play Addison on the beloved Grey's spin-off Private Practice, 2006 to 2013, and routinely reprised the character on multiple seasons of The Mothership. Season 22's episode will mark the actress' first appearance since her multi-episode arc in Seasons 18 and 19. Regular watchers will recall that stress-filled saga that involved Addison and Tia, the pregnant clinical resident, getting hit by a car and ended with an absurdly complicated C-section to save the life of Tia's newborn. At one point, Addison even resorted to using a penlight to assess the baby's breathing. Thankfully, Addison, Tia, and Tia's tiny baby, later named Connor, all came out on the other side of that harrowing journey. And fans will get to see what Addison has been up to since she departed season 19. As our omnipotent overlord Meredith Grey informs us in this week's voiceover on Grey's Anatomy, there's always one patient who can change everything for a doctor, someone who leaves them with a change in perspective or with whom they have a powerful emotional connection. And based on Simone's, Quan's, and Joe's experiences in Sometimes I Feel Like a Motherless Child, Mare is proved correct. Isn't she always? Simone's taking a ride on a real roller coaster of emotions. What a way to end a shift, huh? Simone is almost ready to wrap things up and hand off her patients to Lucas, but when Lucas is late, Aunt Amelia is in Boston, apparently, so there's no one to kick him out the door. Weber assigns Simone to do the workup on recently transferred patient Regina Evans, who is suffering from congestive heart failure, renal failure, and hospital-acquired pneumonia. She is annoyed at first by her ex's tardiness, but that changes when Simone notices that one of Regina's personal photos she has set up around the room is of Simone's mother, Denise. Simone is obviously taken aback. Not only is she meeting someone who knew her mother better than almost anyone, but Regina, also pretty shocked to be face-to-face with her best friend's daughter, starts telling her stories of their crazy, rebellious teenage years, such as sneaking pot into a concert by A Tribe Called Quest and staying all night, only to receive some serious lectures from Mama Joyce, Simone's granny. Simone's overwhelmed with conflicting emotions. Her father always described her mother as a serious, straight-A student, and now she's learning that wasn't the full story. It's as if she's getting to know her mother for the first time. As is tradition at Grey Sloan Memorial, the situation with Regina gets much more complicated. She has an aneurysm. It's not emergent, they schedule a surgery to remove it the next day, but it is concerning. Still, the wait gives Simone and Regina more time to chat, and before long, Simone confesses that she and her sister aren't close because Ebony blames her for their mother's death. Simone blames herself too. She made her mother a statistic, she tells Regina. Regina rejects all of this, of course, it wasn't Simone's fault, but she understands the weight of that guilt. She's been carrying it around too. Toward the end of Denise's pregnancy, Regina got a dream offer to study at a prestigious culinary institute in Paris. She was going to wait until after Denise gave birth, but Denise told her to go. If she had been there, maybe she would have pushed harder for the doctors to pay attention to what was happening. She begs Simone to let her carry that burden of guilt and to go live her life to the fullest. It's what her mother would have wanted. Just as they are having this emotional breakthrough, Regina's oxygen drops, she codes, and as hard as Simone and Lucas fight to bring her back, there is nothing they can do. Regina dies, and Simone is left devastated. If we're looking for any sort of silver lining to Simone's wild and emotional few hours, it could be that seeing how hurt Simone is after losing Regina and how overwhelmed she is after so many of her mommy issues are stirred up, Lucas remembers that despite the breakup of their relationship, he still cares about her. He takes some time off from his brood-a-thon to offer her a ride home. She declines, but the fact that he offers, that he has softened his steely post-breakup feelings, is a sign that maybe these two can find a way to get along again. Quan's doing house calls now. If there's one thing we know that will stand the test of time with this generation's batch of young Grey's Anatomy residents, it is that Benson Quan will forever and always have a soft spot for single moms. We mean that in an empathetic, typically medical-related way, or maybe not. You never know. That is what happens when, during a shift at the clinic, he realizes that a patient, Mercedes Hernandez, has been a no-show at multiple appointments, and this time she hasn't bothered to even call and reschedule. Mercedes, who has PCOS and diabetes, has also missed her prescription refill, and without keeping her blood sugar in check, she's at risk for a whole lot of complications. Something about it just doesn't sit right with Quan, and as the clinic closes down for the night, he decides to make a little house call and brings Jules, who really just needed a ride home after a long day, along for the ride. Quan has a spidey sense that lets him know when single moms are in trouble. When he and Jules arrive at Mercedes' house, she can't even get up from her couch, and her mother and young son Javi are scared. When Quan sees that not only does she need an insulin shot but that she also has a nasty diabetic infection on her foot that has made one of her toes necrotic to the point that it falls off her foot when touched, he wants to get her to the hospital before she loses her whole leg. Mercedes refuses. She's heard there are ICE agents waiting around the hospital, she's had a cousin taken off the street, and she has no idea where they've put him. Her status was revoked just a few months ago, and now she's terrified that she'll disappear too. She is so scared, she won't leave her house even if it means putting her life at risk. It is infuriating. Quan calls for backup, and Bailey arrives with a fully stocked ambulance so that they can treat Mercedes right outside of her house. Bailey and Quan are able to save Mercedes' foot and make her promise to have someone pick up her meds from now on. But just because there's a happy ending medically speaking, it doesn't mean Bailey isn't upset. She's angry that this is the current state of things, in which people are going to die because they are living in fear that they'll be ripped away from their families. It's cruel, she says. It's inhumane. She's also not just a little bit annoyed that Quan and Jules went rogue with a patient. She's proud of them for going above and beyond but reminds them this is a fireable offense, if she wanted it to be. For now, it'll just be a warning with a big ol' thank you attached. Bailey, always with the salty and the sweet. Hey, on the less life-threatening end of things, Jules winds up spending a lot of time with Mercedes' young son Javi and his velociraptors, Benito and Josh. Javi, like many kids in his situation, is scared every day that his mom might be taken away from him. His velociraptors give him comfort, and it's a comfort he wants to pass on to Jules to thank her for staying with him through the scary parts, and so he gives her Josh on her way out. Jules, in turn, offers Josh to Winston when she runs into him at the hospital and finds him stressed about presenting Nora Young's surgery to a room full of people. He, of course, turns her down since he's an adult and all, but still, he appreciates the thought. And we know this because that man can't keep his eyes off Jules as she walks away. Josh the Velociraptor knows what's up, and so do we. Joe and Amy and Kevin. Joe Wilson finds herself dealing with two stubborn people, who both, as it turns out, have very good reasons for digging into their opinions. Link, still recovering from his near-death experience, is out of sorts because his mother is pushing him to get the twins baptized once they're born. Link isn't religious, and he doesn't want to baptize his kids into a religion he doesn't believe in. Scout's not baptized either. Joe doesn't mind the idea of getting the kids baptized, and in a surprise to everyone including Link and all of us in the audience, Joe is kind of religious. She's never once hinted at this before, but she seems adamant when she tells Link about a nearby Korean church she would go to for meals as a teenager and how she was jealous of the community people formed there. She tells him how she prayed when he was hurt, and it brought her comfort. It's all well and good but does feel a little out of nowhere. Meanwhile, Link, just as confused as the rest of us, tells his wife about a church group who would visit him and the other kids in the cancer ward when he was young and make sure they knew God was watching over them. Even as a kid, Link questioned how this could be true if children were dying. And he certainly doesn't see God in what's happening in the world now with the planet burning and people starving. He hated it when that group came around. He also reminds Joe that there are other ways you can find your community. Thanks for watching this videos. Please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up.